Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you will by now have realised, I've directed that the next witness should give her evidence from behind the screen, so I'm afraid you simply have a view of the screen as far as she's concerned. Yes, Mr. Millett.
Mr. Chairman, good afternoon. I now call our next witness, Ms. Rabia Yahya, who is already in place.
Yes, thank you.
I swear by Allah.
I swear by Allah.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Millett.
Ms. Yahya, good afternoon.
Hi.
I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Can I say, first of all, thank you very much for coming to the inquiry and giving us your assistance in our investigations. It is very much appreciated. Can I start by asking you, first of all, for your full name?
It's Rabia Yahya.
Now, I know that some of my questions may be difficult for you to answer, bringing back that heartbreaking and terrible night for you. So if you need a break at any time, all you have to do is indicate, and we can take a break, and we will take measures to take a break. What we're going to try to do is to take evidence for 45 minutes or so, and then take a 15-minute break.
Okay.
So as to give you a break and to give an opportunity for people to leave the room and then come back into the room,
Okay.
so as to preserve the arrangements that we've got in place.
Okay.
I should just also say, my questions are supposed to be short and simple. Sometimes they don't turn out that way. So if you want me to repeat the question or ask it in a different way, I'm very happy to do that.
Okay.
Okay. And I should just also say that sometimes when you're answering, I'm looking at the screen or at my notes. That doesn't mean I'm not listening to you. I am, very much. Thank you very much. Now, you've done, I think, 2 witness statements for the inquiry.
Yes.
Can I just show you the first one, please, and read that into the record? That's IWS 50498. And it'll appear on the screen in front of you on your desk there.
Yeah.
Is this the first page of your first statement that you've made for the inquiry?
Yes.
Can I then ask you, please, to look at the last page of that statement, which is page 9? And you can see that that bears a date of the 16th of May 2018, and there's a signature there. Can you confirm that that's your signature?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Have you had an opportunity to read this statement recently?
Yes.
And can you confirm that the contents are true?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, you've made a supplementary statement as well, and the reference to that is IWS *0001144. Can I ask you to look at the first page of that, please? That's now on the screen. It consists of 7 pages, and there's a signature and a date, I think, on each page, and it's dated the 18th of October 2018. Can you please look at page 7, which is the last page?
Yeah.
And there's a signature there. Can you confirm that that's your signature?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. And have you had an opportunity to read this supplementary statement recently?
Yes, I have.
And can you confirm that the contents are true?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, I think you've got one exhibit to this statement, which is labelled Appendix 1, and that's IWS *0001144, which is at page 8. If we just turn that up, can you just identify that for us? And that is a floor plan of your flat 152 on the 18th floor of Grenfell Tower, as it existed as at the night of the fire, I think. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Now, Ms. Yahya, I'm going to ask you... Sorry, do you want to have another? Do you want to have a closer look at it?
No,
You look slightly puzzled.
No, it's fine. I thought that said bedroom and it said bathroom. Sorry.
Ah, right.
It says, yes, bathroom. I want to ask you first, if I may, some questions of background. It's right, I think, that in June 2017, you lived at flat 152, Grenfell Tower, on the 18th floor.
Yes.
Yes. And I think you'd previously lived in flat 45 on the, on the 4th floor of Grenfell Tower.
Yes, I did, yeah.
How long did you live in flat 45 for?
Well, I think my mum and dad moved in when I was, I think, 1. Then they moved out when I was about 12.
And did you live with your parents all that time?
Yeah, the whole time, yeah.
And do you remember when you moved back into flat 152, or back into Grenfell Tower and moved to flat 152?
I moved in. My daughter was just turning 2, so it was about 2008, I'd say.
Yes. And at that stage, who did you live with?
At that time, when I moved to Grenfell Tower, it was me, my husband, and my little girl. At that time, she was 2.
Right. And then you had more children after that?
Yes.
And they lived with you?
Yes.
At flat 152?
Yeah.
Now, I think you mentioned in your statement, having a lot of family living close by.
Yes.
Is that your mother and father?
Yeah. When they moved from Grenfell, they moved to Barrington Walk, which is very local still.
Right. And were they living at Barrington Walk at the time of the fire?
Yes.
Now, before I turn to the events of the night of the fire, I want to ask you 1 or 2 questions about the refurbishment.
Okay.
At paragraph 10 of your statement, page 3, if you can please be shown that, you describe there the change to your front door that was made during the refurbishment.
Yes.
And you say, the new front door looked better than the old one and had a pump inside it which made it feel heavier because it gave the door resistance when you opened it. The door closed automatically at first and had a letter flap and a peephole. It was drafty, and I don't remember there having been a draft seal.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the new door soon broke, you say. It came off its hinges and jammed, so we couldn't close it. First of all, and I'll continue with the rest of that paragraph in a moment, when you changed the front door, were you asked to change it by anybody?
They said they were changing the whole building's front doors.
Right. Who's the they?
TMO.
So did you get a choice?
No, it was inevitable that everyone was changing their doors, so we was told we need to change our door to make it fire safety doors.
Right. Did the TMO tell you that the doors were going to be fire safety doors?
Yes.
Do you remember when, after the door was fitted, there were any gaps around the door?
I don't remember.
You say it was drafty.
Yeah, but that was more from I felt the draft was coming more from the bottom, but because we had, I don't know how to explain it. There was meant to be a flap at the bottom of the door, so it wouldn't let the draft in. But our one wasn't. They were meant to come back to fix it. They didn't.
Right. And does that mean that there was still a draft coming in, or a draft that could come in, as at the night of the fire?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you also say that the door started off being self-closing, but then broke. How long after the door was installed did the door break?
No more than 2-3 months.
And you go on to say, we reported this to the TMO, this is 5 lines up from the bottom of paragraph 10, and to a woman from Ryden, but no one ever came to fix it. Instead, Bellal had to take out the pole from the centre of the door, which makes it a fire door. Just first of all, Bellal's your husband.
Yes.
And were you there when your husband removed the pole?
Yes.
Do you remember what he did?
Because the door wouldn't, after a while, it got worse. The door wouldn't allow us to close it, so it had to stay ajar. So when we needed to go out or close the door behind us, there was a pole that was in between the doors, and he had to, I don't know how to explain it. There was something in between the door hinges, and he had to remove it.
Right.
It was like a long pole.
I see. And did the pole go from the door
in
jamb?
Between the door.
In between the door and the...
Yeah.
So the edge of the inner edge of the door.
Yes, exactly.
And the door jamb, the side of the doorway.
Exactly. Yes.
I see. And it went from one to the other.
Yes.
And that broke, did it?
Yeah, that broke. So he had to pull it out.
He had to pull it out because it had broken and had jammed in situ.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you tell the TMO that your husband had removed the door closer?
I told them, yes.
Do you remember when you told them?
I don't remember when.
Okay. What did they say?
They said they were going to send someone to come and fix it.
Did they?
No.
Were you ever told by the TMO that it was important for fire safety that the door should be a self-closing door?
No.
As at the night of the fire, was it a self-closing door?
No.
Do you know whether any of your neighbours on your floor, or in fact anywhere else in the building, had doors which didn't automatically close by themselves?
I'm not sure, no.
Okay. Now, in June 2017, your flat was on the 18th floor. I think it's right that the floor numbering changed during or after the refurbishment.
Yes,
Is that
it
right?
did. Yes, it did.
And I think before the refurbishment, your flat was on the 15th floor.
15th floor, yeah.
Yes, and you say that at paragraph 3 of your statement. Can I ask you this? When the floor numbering was changed, were the changes in the lobbies marked up on each floor?
Not that I remember, no.
Right. Now, can I ask you to look at paragraph 11 of your statement? You say, this is page 3, when they renumbered the floors during the refurbishment, the new signs for each floor in the stairwell were not easy to read. They weren't even proper signs. The numbers were just stencilled onto the walls. Can you describe how big these stencilled figures were in centimetres?
I'd say about 10 centimetres.
Right. And were they easy to read? Were they easily visible?
Because it was more just hand drawn. It wasn't like proper stenciled. It was just sort of like as if you would do a graffiti with a spray, ink spray.
Right. Okay. So did the sizes of the numbers vary?
Yeah.
From floor to floor?
It was handwritten, so it wouldn't have been exact same.
Right. And during your time at Grenfell Tower after the refurbishment, did you get a good chance to go up and down the stairs so you could get a good idea of the numbering?
Quite a lot, yes.
Right. Why would that be?
Because the lift was constantly not working.
Right. Now, at paragraph 13 of your statement, you deal with the subject of the windows, and you say, during the refurbishment, Ryden replaced the windows, but the new windows gave trouble almost immediately. First of all, can I ask, were all the windows in your flat replaced?
Yes.
And you say you experienced problems almost immediately, and then you go on to say the handles didn't work properly, and you explain that, and you go on also to say that a few lines on from that, the kitchen windows were very drafty, and the windows in the sitting room were a bit drafty as well. Can you see where you've said that in your statement? Can I ask, first of all, for you to be shown the floor plan of your flat, which is IWS 1144 at page 8, which you've exhibited to your statement, your second statement. We looked at it a little bit before.
Yeah.
IWS 1144, page 8. Can you point out on this plan, because I know you're familiar with this, which windows you experienced drafts from?
The kitchen window. I had a problem with the kitchen window.
Yes.
The living room two of the living room windows that are, where the one that are closest together. The two windows that are closest together.
So the ones on the left of the diagram?
In the corners, yeah. In the corner.
I see. So the ones at the top left and to the right of the top of the corner on the left.
Yeah, that's one.
Yes.
And then it's the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for the transcript, that's the northwest corner of the building, the window to the immediate south of the northwest corner, and the window to the immediate east of the northwest corner.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, of those windows, which was the most drafty?
I'd say the kitchen.
The kitchen. And do you remember where the draft was coming in from?
It was coming from the frame, but also had the problem with the extractor fan that was on the window.
Okay.
Because that was broken, so the draft would come in through there.
Okay. Focusing on the frame, and just focusing on the kitchen window, whereabouts was the draft coming from around the frame?
To be honest, I can't remember, but I just remember that being a problem.
Right. What about the living room windows? Do you remember where the draft was coming from with those?
The bottom, I'd say, because we used to always put towels at the bottom of it, so it could keep the room warm.
Right. And you say at the bottom, is that
bottom of the window frame?
Right. And I think each window after the refurbishment had a window sill,
yes.
A white plasticky window sill. Did you put the towels on there or underneath that?
Yeah, on that, because to block, like I said, the draft coming from.
I see. Did that help?
It did, but it wasn't a practical.
No.
Yeah.
No. But just trying to get an idea of where the air was coming in from, that would help us identify the place where the air was coming in.
Yes.
What about other windows in the flat, the bedrooms? Were they drafty?
Not that I recall, no.
Did you report this draft problem with the windows to the TMO?
Yeah, I reported it to TMO, and also while the riding contractors were still on site, I spoke to them and told them as well.
Right, while they were still on site?
Yes.
Was that towards the end of the refurbishment or earlier than that?
I'd say probably they were still there for a while longer. So I would say probably it's still in the middle of the refurb.
Right, okay. And first of all, what did the TMO do about the drafty windows?
They said they'd make a note of it and send someone from Ryden who should deal with it.
And did they?
They didn't, no.
Secondly, what did Ryden do about it?
Ryden came the first time, came and said they were going to... They tried to seal it. Then they said they were going to come and change the extractor fan for us in the kitchen. They didn't do that.
Right. So just going back to trying to seal it, did Ryden succeed in sealing the gaps?
No, because it peeled straight off.
Right. What did? What peeled?
What they sealed it with.
Okay. Do you remember what they sealed it with?
I don't remember what it's called. I don't.
Did it look like a? What did it look like? Well, perhaps I should just ask you. Did you see them at work trying to seal your windows up?
Yeah, I did. Was in and out the room. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what they were using?
It was like a little gun thing, and sort of to seal around. They use it for. I don't know what it's called.
No, that's all right. And how long after they'd done their work did whatever they put in peel off?
Within a week.
Right. And did you go back to Ryden or TMO and say?
Spoke to Ryden again on site to see if they can. And again, they said they were going to send someone, and that never happened after that.
Okay. So. Okay. You've discussed the handles as well. Did those ever get fixed?
No, that handles was always a problem from the beginning. It wouldn't lock properly, and I was worried about the kids and stuff because it didn't close properly with the handle, so it didn't firmly go all the way. It would always just stop halfway as you tried to close it.
Right. Right. Okay. And the extractor fan, can you? You said it broke. What happened to it? Do you remember?
I can't remember what happened to it. No.
Did it come out of its mounting, or did it just not function?
It wasn't functioning from the beginning. It didn't ever function for us.
Right.
And it did come out of its place. And I pushed it back in, but it was loose. Where it was meant to be stay, it was loose.
Okay. So was there air coming through the circular gap where
Yes.
the gap where it was supposed to be? I see.
Yes.
Okay. And was that was it was like that on the night of the fire, was it?
Yes.
And the drafts that you've explained in your statement and have told us about this afternoon, were they there at the night of the fire as well?
Because it was a summer day, so it wasn't. I didn't notice, to be honest, much of a draft.
No. But in terms of the gaps that you had felt, I think what you're telling us is they hadn't been effectively fixed before the night of the fire.
No, they wasn't fixed. No.
Okay. Just going back a little bit in your statement, if I can, to page 2, please, Ms. Yahya. You say at paragraph 7, at the bottom of that page, I do not remember being given any fire advice when we signed our tenancy agreement or when we first moved in. What about later on when you moved? Well, let me just ask you this. When you say when we first moved in, was that a reference to when you moved in to flat 45 or when you moved to flat 15?
When I moved to flat 152, 'cause I was a child when I was in 45, so I wouldn't remember.
All right. So this is 2008 then?
Yes.
Right. So what about later than 2008? Were you ever given any fire safety advice after 2008?
No.
No. Can I ask that the witness please be shown INQ 93? Now, this is a fire safety notice from floor 3, which is a photograph taken by the inquiry's experts. Have you ever seen this sign before?
Yes, I have.
And where did you see it?
At the bottom of the lobby, where just before you go into the lifts.
So bottom of the lobby, on the ground floor of the tower?
On the ground floor, yeah.
Did you see it anywhere else in the building?
I only ever think I saw it there.
Right. Not on your own floor?
I don't remember seeing it.
Okay. Do you remember seeing it on any other floor in the tower, apart from the ground floor?
No, I only remember seeing it on the ground floor.
I know this is a difficult question, perhaps because timings are difficult, but how long before the fire in June 2017 do you remember seeing the sign?
Not long. Maybe about a few weeks before.
Right. Did you notice it suddenly appearing, or is it something that you've always been aware was?
No, I've always been aware of it, because you know when you're just standing waiting for the lift, you sort of just your eye wanders and you just starts reading to waste time.
Yes, and that leads to this question: did you, when your eye wandered onto it, did you actually ever read it?
Yes.
In general terms, what was the takeaway message you got from this sign? What do you think it was telling you?
To stay put.
In the event of?
In the event of a fire.
Right. Apart from this notice, were you aware of any information from any organisation or any individual person about what you should do if there was a fire in the block?
No.
So this was it, was it?
Yeah, this is the only information I had.
Now, at paragraph 8 of your statement, on the next page, page 3, you say, this is your first statement, you say, I thought we had a fire alarm in the lobby on our floor for the whole floor, but on the night of the fire, I didn't hear it go off. Did anybody tell you that there was a fire alarm in your lobby?
No, I just remember seeing it.
Okay, can you describe what you saw that you thought was a fire alarm?
I saw something on top of the ceiling, just sort of hanging down, and it was sort of caged. So I think they were worried about if someone hits it or knocks it over, or takes the battery out. So it had sort of like a cage on it. It was boxed. Okay.
Can I ask? I'm going to show you a picture, and this I think is the first proper picture of inside the tower. Is that okay? Are you all right to be shown photographs of inside the tower?
Yes.
There is no fire in it or anything like
Okay.
that. Okay, this is BLA *02513. Now, that is a photograph taken from floor 6. Are you able to identify in that photograph what you are referring to as the fire alarm cage or
Well, it's not. It doesn't
object?
look caged there. It's not. It's just. It's exposed there, so it's not.
Right.
It's just the round thing in the middle.
The round thing in the middle of what?
In the middle of just between the two lifts, there's that round circular
On the ceiling?
On the ceiling,
On the
yes.
ceiling, right. That's what you thought was the communal fire alarm?
Yes.
Okay. Did anybody ever tell you what that actually was?
No.
Right. So it was your assumption that it was a fire alarm?
Yes.
Okay. Paragraph 9, the same page, page 3, is where you say this. Ironically, the day before the fire, someone from the London Fire Brigade came to check our flat. He checked the battery on the smoke alarms, checked that the alarms worked, and asked me to sign a paper, and that was it. When I asked him why he was there, he said it was part of a routine check for the whole building. Did you... Did he confirm to you that the smoke alarms in your flat were working?
Yes.
They were. Did he give you any advice about what to do in the event of a fire?
No.
Did you discuss communal fire alarms?
No.
Okay. Do you remember before the refurbishment, and in fact going back to 2008 when you moved back into Grenfell Tower and went to flat 152, do you remember whether there was a communal fire alarm in the building at that point?
Yes.
There was?
That's the one that were sort of similar to the one that you just showed me.
Right. Did you ever hear it go off?
No.
Okay.
Not on our floor.
Right. I'm now going to turn to the night of the fire, Ms. Yahya, if I may, and start with the some general questions. First, who was present in your flat on that night?
Me and my 3 kids.
Now, at paragraph 17 of your statement, if you go to page 5, you explain what happens in the evening. You say you were out during the day and came home around 6 or 7 and didn't leave the flat again, and your husband wasn't home. And then you say, at about 1 a.m. on the morning of the 14th of June 2017, I heard commotion outside our block, so I went to the window to see what was going on. How do you remember that it was about 1 a.m.?
Because I picked up my phone to look at it, to see
Okay.
what time it was.
Right. Were you asleep at that stage, or were you still awake?
I probably just started to doze off.
Okay. And what about your children?
They were all in bed sleeping.
Okay. In another room or in the same room?
In next door.
Next door. And just so I'm clear, which is your bedroom? Is it the one closest to the living room or the one furthest away?
The one that's furthest away.
So nearest the front door?
Front door, yeah.
Right. And you say you heard commotion outside your block. Do you remember where it was coming from?
It was coming from near the front of the building.
Can you describe the commotion?
There's talking on it, and I heard the fire truck.
What, the siren?
No, not the siren, just them, I don't know, just the noise of a fire truck as he's driving into the road,
Right.
on our road.
Could you hear voices?
I could hear voices, yeah. Yes,
Okay.
I heard voices.
Do you remember which window you looked out of?
I got up and walked to the kitchen window.
Right, which is on the west side of the building?
Yes.
The sunset side, if you like?
Yeah.
Okay. Why didn't you look out of your bedroom window?
I don't know, because I had the bed sort of blocking it, so I went to the other side.
I see, okay. And was the kitchen window open?
Yes.
Were any other windows in your flat open? Do you remember?
Not that I remember.
Okay,
My bedroom window was opened.
right. Do you remember noticing any signs of smoke or fire at that stage?
No.
Now, in your statement, halfway down paragraph 17, you say, when I looked out, I could see one fire truck, but couldn't see any fire. So you're looking out of your kitchen window. In which direction did you look to see the fire truck?
Because as you look from the kitchen window, you can actually see that whole road, the whole of the Grenfell Road, and so it leads all the way underneath Grenfell Tower itself.
So you could see,
Yeah,
you could see the walkway, as it were, and underneath it. Right, I see. Could you see what was going on?
Like I said, I only saw the fire truck, and obviously people were outside.
Yeah. And then you go on to say, I called 999 straight away to find out if there was an emergency. Now, we've actually got your first 999 call transcript, which carries a time of 1:33:55. And I'm going to come back to the detail of that in a minute, but just in terms of timing, are you sure that you called 999 straight away, or was there a period of delay before you did, or a period of time that passed before you called 999?
My recollection is that I did call. I had a call before.
Do you remember who it was? What to London Fire Brigade?
Yes.
Do you remember what happened on that call? You say you called to find out if there was an emergency, and you say in your statement, they informed me that there was a fire on the 4th floor, but that it was under control and we should stay inside our flat.
Yes.
How confident are you that that is what you remember of your first call?
I'm pretty confident that I had a phone call before 1:30.
Okay. Well, we'll come back to look at the detail of the call that we do have a record for in a moment. Before we do, you describe, I think, waking up your children at this point because you wanted them to be alert in case we needed to evacuate quickly. That's what you say in your statement there. Was it in your mind that you might need to evacuate quickly?
Yes.
Was that in your mind before you made the 999 call or after you made the 999 call?
After I made the 999 call.
Right. So even though you were told that you should stay inside your flat, you still thought you might need to evacuate quickly?
Yeah, because I heard more fire brigade come in, so I knew it wasn't. I wasn't convinced that it was just a small thing because other fire trucks kept coming.
I see. And you say they kept coming. Could you see them coming?
Yes.
Right. Now, you describe waking up your children and getting them ready to leave. Did you do that before your first 999 call or after?
That's the thing. I remember doing that afterwards.
Afterwards, okay. Did you, at this point, open your front door and look out into the communal lobby?
I think I can't remember, but I can't remember.
Okay. Now, on page 5 of your statement, a little bit lower down, paragraph 18, you say, about 20 minutes later, I looked outside my kitchen window and I could see smoke lower down. 20 minutes later, 20 minutes after what? Later than what?
After waking up the kids, I think.
Okay. And you say you looked out of your kitchen window and you could see smoke lower down.
Yes.
Could you see where the smoke was coming from?
I couldn't see it, just I knew it was lower down. I couldn't see where.
Right. Now, your kitchen, I think I said earlier, faces west. I think actually it faces east, doesn't it? The sunrise side.
I'm not sure.
Okay. You've described the smoke in your statement as grey rather than black. Do you remember how thick it was when you saw it first?
When I first started seeing smoke, it wasn't that thick. No. It was just early stages, I would say.
Did it have a particular smell?
It smelled of burnt plastic. I remember that smell.
Did it have any particular physical effect on you?
It made me cough. It made me wheeze because I've got asthma.
Right. You've got asthma, do you?
Yeah. So I did come in the house from looking outside the window, coming and coughing.
Right. Can I just ask you, if you don't want to answer this, you don't have to answer this, but are you particularly because of your asthma, are you particularly sensitive to dust or smoke?
Yes, I have a lot of triggers that trigger my asthma. Yeah.
Right. Could you see any fire at that point?
No.
Do you remember what the London Fire Brigade were doing at that point?
I couldn't see clearly enough to see. I just remember there was a whole lot of them coming in and out their trucks.
Now, at paragraph 20 of your statement, you say that your neighbour in flat 156, Shah, chair of the Leaseholder Association, knocked on our door, this is the bottom of page 5, and told me that he and his wife are leaving and that I should take the children and get out too. Now that's when you refer to Shah, is that Shahid Ahmed?
Yes, didn't know his name.
And he's from flat 196.
Yes.
Now, I wonder if you can help me just clear something up about that conversation.
I think he's 156, isn't he?
156. Did
Yes,
I say?
right. Well, it's gone onto the transcript as 196.
156, certainly. I think I said 156, but Ms. Yahya, can I just ask you if you can help me clear something up about that conversation?
Okay.
Can I ask you to be shown your supplemental statement and go please to paragraph 5. You say in that paragraph, after that call, and that's the first 999 call that you're referring to, at paragraph 4 of that statement, you say, I woke the kids and told them to get dressed in case we had to leave the building. My children were awake and dressed when Shah and his wife knocked on our door. They both looked alarmed. It was Shah's wife who spoke with me. And that's, I think, Saida.
Okay,
That's her name, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you remember who you actually spoke to, whether it was Shah or Saida at that stage?
In my head, I spoke to Saida. That's how I remember it, speaking to her.
Right. So, when you go back to paragraph 20 of your statement, and you say there that Shah knocked on your door and told me that he and his wife were leaving, and that I should take the children and get out too, is that Shah speaking or is that Saida speaking?
No, that is Saida speaking.
Was Shah there as well?
He was near with her. Yeah, he was near the fire exit door.
Yes, I see. Okay.
So he was there.
Now, you then you then describe the conversation, and both in this statement and in your second statement. Did either Shah or Saida tell you why they were leaving?
From what I remember, he said the fire is spread up. That's the only thing I remember.
Fire spread up. Did you consider going with them?
I couldn't go with them. I knew I couldn't because I had 3 kids. I was worried.
So did you?
I didn't know if it was safe for us to stay or to. I didn't know what was on the stairs.
Okay. At the time they knocked on your door, were there any signs of smoke in your flat?
No.
And no signs of fire either?
No fire, no smoke, no.
When they knocked on the door, did you see any signs of smoke in the communal lobby?
No, the only little bit of smoke that was coming through is from the stairs, the fire exit door.
Right. At that point, do you remember whether you heard the sound of the smoke extraction system or the ventilation system running?
No.
You don't?
No.
How thick was the smoke in the communal lobby at the moment when you opened the door to Shah
It wasn't
and
bad.
Saida?
It wasn't bad.
Not bad.
No.
Do you think it's
The
something...
lights were still on. We spoke for a few minutes. And
Okay. Did it have any physical effect on you, even though it wasn't bad?
no, I don't think I wouldn't know because I was coughing before that. So
Right. Okay. Did it smell the same as the smell of the smoke that you'd smelt from
the
coming
smell
outside?
of smoke smelled stronger.
Right. Now, we know that Shahid and Saida Ahmed left the building at about 1:32 a.m. because that's what the CCTV has showed. And if we look at paragraph 3 of your second statement, IWS 1144, page 2, you say in the last sentence, or last but one sentence, after referring to them leaving the tower at approximately 1:32, you say, so my first 999 call would have been before then. I remember that when I made my first 999 call on 14th of June, my children were still asleep.
Yes.
Now, I just want to look at the 999 call with you to see if we can sort out a potential timing issue. It's LFB 662. And you can see, and this is a transcript of the call, and you can see at the top of the page, there's a line of numbers next to the word event. And the second number in from the right is 01:33:55, and that's the time at which the call started. And it lasts 1 minute and 21 seconds. And it starts by saying, operator, hello, fire brigade. Caller, yeah, all right, there's a fire in my building. Operator, what road, what building are you in? Grenfell Tower. Grenfell Tower, okay, we are there, we're dealing with it, okay. And then caller, I'm scared and I've got 3 young kids and I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do. No, can you get to a window, get some fresh air? And it continues over the page. On what I've shown you so far, does this ring a bell with you as being your first call?
No, I think I had before this another phone
Right.
call.
Okay. And so if there was a call before this, you would think this is your second...
Yes, this would be my second one.
Right, okay. You then go on to say to the control room operator on page 2, halfway down, you say, are we safe? You ask, are we safe? And the operator says, I can't, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if you can get to the window and get some air. There's no smoke in my house yet, you say. And the operator says, there's no smoke in your house yet. And you say, no, but I tried to get out to go through the fire escape and there's just thick black smoke. Just pausing there. Do you remember telling the operator that you tried to get out through the fire escape?
I don't remember it. And it's only now that through the transcript that I know I said it.
Okay. Had you actually tried to get out of your flat and cross the lobby to get to the to get to the stairs at that stage?
I must have done, but I just don't remember.
Okay. When you refer to thick black smoke, was that, well, where was that?
It would be in the stairwell.
In the stairwell. Okay. Now, let's just try and piece that together. Paragraph 7 of your second statement, so we're still within your second statement, IWS 1142. Page 3, you're dealing with the transcript of this call, and you say a third of the way down, I believe I said there was black smoke in the fire escape because at some point when I was speaking with Shah's wife, Shah was standing in the doorway to the stairwell, holding the door to the stairwell open. The doorway to the stairwell is only a couple of meters from my front door. I was standing on my doorstep speaking with Shah's wife, and I faintly remember looking past Shah into the stairwell and seeing thick black smoke in the stairwell. So, that being your recollection, when you say thick black smoke on the call, are you telling the operator that it's in the stairwell?
Yes, I think so, yes.
Okay. What about the lobby itself at that stage? Was there smoke in the lobby?
It was only coming from the stairwell well, if the door was open.
Okay. And when you saw the thick black smoke in the stairwell, do you remember where you were standing?
Outside of my front door.
Okay. How far outside your front door?
Because like I said, between my front door and the fire exit to the stairwell is a very short distance, so I was probably standing halfway between my front door and the stairwell. So it's like, I would say it's a metre between my front door and...
Okay. And did you get a good look into the stairwell?
Yeah.
You did. So this call at 1:33 must have been after you'd seen the thick black smoke in the stairwell?
Yes, that's why I said I knew there's another one, because
Right.
another phone call which I made to 999, because this was after my kids woke up, after the neighbour knocked on the door.
Yes. And indeed, in paragraph 3 of your second statement, you do say that no record seems to have been identified of your 999 calls prior to Shah knocking on my door, but you recall at least one.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, we've been going for, I think, just a little bit over 45 minutes.
Yes.
It might be now.
Is this a convenient point?
And it's convenient, certainly from my point of view. And I
Well, you
hope
might
for the
like to have a
witnesses
break
as
now,
well.
do you think?
Yeah, I don't mind, yeah.
Yes, all right. We'll we'll stop now. We'll resume at 20 past. Is that about right, Mr. Millett?
Yes, indeed, it is. Thank you.
And,
That will give time for people to...
The ushers will give you some directions in a minute.
Okay, thank you.
Good. 20 past 3, please.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I just ought to explain what should happen. We have to, I think, to clear the room.
I thought that had been explained, but perhaps not.
No, I don't think it has been explained.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, I need to explain. Because the witness is giving evidence from behind a screen, I'm afraid we've got to adopt some slightly different arrangements now for having our short break. I'm going to ask everyone to leave the room as quickly as possible, please, after I've got out. And it's all right, there's no danger to you. And when you're asked, when the witness has got back in the room after our break, then to come back in as quickly as possible. All right, I'll now make way for the rest of you. Thank you. All right, ready to carry on?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Phillips?
Ms. Yahya, thank you very much for coming back to us. Can I just go back to this question of your first 999 call? When you made your first 999 call, do you remember whether the person you spoke to identified themselves?
No, not that I remember, no.
They didn't say London Fire Brigade or
It was just the operator, as far as I know.
Right, okay. Do you remember whether the operator was like a telephone operator or a fire brigade operator?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, after Shahid and Saeeda Ahmed left from your front door, what did you do next?
We got the kids, we all went back into our living room. We were sitting there, and that's when, obviously, the whole family phone calls were coming in. I was receiving phone calls from outside, people from the outside.
And I think they told you, and you say this at paragraph 19 of your first statement, that the police were evacuating Barrington Walk. Do you remember that?
Yeah, because I spoke to my mum and she told me.
Yes.
So she was evacuated, and I remember speaking to her.
Did your mum or other family members give you any advice about what you should do?
They were just always just shouting to get out.
Shouting to get
out.
And did you tell them? Well, what was your response to that?
I think I just told them that I was told to stay.
Right.
I was told to stay. I was safer inside my flat.
Okay. We've seen you've told us about the first 999 call where you were told to stay put. We've seen the transcript for some of the transcript for the second 999 call, the one at 1:33, 1:33:55. Can I just take you back to that again? It's LFB 662 at page 2. And at the bottom of that page, you can see that the operator says, so if you can stay in your flat and block it up, okay, just try to keep calm and get some fresh air by the window. And top of the next page, you say, okay. Operator, yes. And what floor are you on? I'm on the 18th. Please send someone. Okay, I'll let them know you're there, okay. All right, okay, all right. Thank you. Bye. What did you think you were supposed to do as a result of that call?
To wait, someone will come.
Right. And what influence did the advice you received on that call I've just shown you from the operator have on what you did next?
It had a lot, because I stayed. I did what they said and stayed.
Right. And when your family phoned, I think you said that you told them that you'd been told to stay by 999. Is that?
Yes.
To be clear, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, going back to your first witness statement at page 6, you say, at about 2 a.m., 2 firefighters, one male and one female, knocked on our door. They were wearing breathing apparatus sets. They came inside as soon as I opened the door and told me to hurry up and shut the door quickly, as by this time there was dark, thick smoke in the 18th floor lobby.
Yes.
And then you go on to describe how they came into the flat and took off their helmets, asked if you were okay, asked how many of you there were.
Yes.
Just taking this in stages. First of all, do you remember why they told you to hurry?
Because the smoke was going to come into my flat.
Right. Did you get a good look at the smoke when you opened the door to them?
Yes.
Can you describe it for us?
It was black. You couldn't see beyond anything.
Right. Could you see any lights out in the lobby?
No, there was no lights. Lights have gone off by then.
You say the lights had gone off?
Yeah, because prior to that, when the neighbour knocked on my door, lights were still on.
Right. Could you tell whether the lights had gone off or whether the smoke was so thick that you just couldn't see the lights?
It could be. I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. Do you remember smelling the smoke?
Yes.
Can you describe the smell for us?
It was bad. It was very thick, and it smelled more. The smell of strong burning plastic was more. Yeah, it was. I don't know. Yeah.
No. Did it have any physical effect on you?
Yeah, it made me cough.
Right.
My coughing just got worse.
Okay. Any other effects?
Because my son as well, he was coughing because he's got asthma too.
All right. Okay. What about your eyes?
No, they were okay.
Okay. Between the time when Shahid and Saeed Ahmed left you and these two firefighters arriving, did you look into the communal lobby?
No, I don't think I did, no.
Okay. Now, you've said in your statement that the two firefighters arrived around 2 a.m. How do you recall the time as around 2 a.m.?
I'm not, it's only approximately. I wasn't 100% sure.
Okay.
But it was I only guessed it because I knew it was from phone calls that I was getting from family. But I would say it was a good 20, 25 minutes between Saida knocking on the door to them.
Okay.
Firefighters coming.
And how long after the 999 call we've just seen, the one you made at 1:33, do you think those firefighters arrived?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
And when the two firefighters knocked on your door, what were the conditions like in your flat?
I didn't have smoke yet. From the window, you could start to see sparks and things. I don't know. Smoke was getting higher, more visible from the windows. Little sparks you could see coming.
And which windows could you see the sparks coming from?
More so from the kitchen window.
Right. And any smoke coming in at that stage from that window?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. And with the sparks coming up or coming down or across, do you remember which direction they were coming from?
At that time, I wouldn't be able to guess which way they were coming. I couldn't remember.
Okay. Do you remember how long these two firefighters stayed in your flat for?
No more than 5 minutes.
Right. How far into the flat did they come?
They came all the way into the living room.
Okay. Did they sit down?
No.
Okay.
They just stood up.
Right. And you say in your statement at paragraph 21, they asked if you were okay, and they asked how many of us there were. What did you tell them?
I told them there's one adult, 3 kids, and I also told them that I was pregnant.
You did tell them that you were pregnant?
Yes.
Okay. And where were your children at that stage?
They were with me.
They were with you, okay. And you then say in the middle of that same paragraph, they said they were going to check on the neighbours on our floor and that they would get us out, they would get us all out together.
Yes.
Did they say if they would get you out personally, or that some other firefighters in general would be coming up to get you?
They just said that they're going to knock on the neighbour's door and we'll get you all out together.
Right.
They didn't emphasise whether it will be them or someone else. They just said, we'll get you all out together.
Okay. Did they explain to you how?
But I presumed it was them.
Right. Did they explain to you how they were going to get you out?
No.
Did you have a conversation with them about how you were going to get down the stairwell?
No.
Did they explain to you the conditions in the stairs?
No.
Okay. And you then say, they were there for 5 minutes, and you packed some things up, and at the end of that paragraph you say, then we waited, but I never saw those or any other firefighters again on our floor after that point.
Yes, that's true.
How long after they left did you realise that they weren't going to be coming back, or might not be coming back?
The thing is with that, I stayed in that flat for another 10 minutes after that, and I wasn't going to wait for them because I was forced to leave because fire came into my kitchen.
Yes. Okay. I'll come back to that in a moment. Before I do, firefighter Lawson says that he and a female firefighter did come back again and told you that people were coming for you. That's his evidence in his witness statement. Can you comment on that?
He's lying. He didn't say that.
He didn't say that.
He didn't come back again.
All right. And, well, you say he's lying. In his oral evidence, when he gave evidence to the inquiry, he did say that he wasn't sure if he went back to your flat.
Because he didn't come.
But as a matter of your recollection, you say he didn't come.
100% he didn't come back.
Okay. Now, at paragraph 21, you also say that these firefighters, when they visited your flat, told you to put damp blankets under the front door.
Yes.
And did you do that after they left?
Yes.
Did you wet the blankets before you did that?
It wasn't soaked because we had minimal water pressure coming up, so it was very hard to wet a whole blanket.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. Where did you? In which room did you try to wet your blankets? Was it the bathroom or the kitchen?
The bathroom.
Bathroom. Was it the sink or the shower?
The shower.
Right. When you say minimal water pressure, what happened when you turned the tap?
Water was coming up of ever so very small amounts. It wasn't. Right. It wasn't powerful. It had no pressure. It was just very. It's just small.
Small. Had you ever experienced that lack of water pressure from that shower before?
No.
Did you try any of the other taps in the flat?
Yes, it's the same.
It's the same. Now, at paragraph 22 of your statement, you say, at around about 2:40 a.m., sparks from the cladding started to fall onto our window ledges, which led to the fire spreading into our home very quickly. The flames came in through the kitchen window. There had been no smoke in the flat before this point. The flat had started to feel warm, but I hadn't thought much of it. Now, just in terms of the timing, in your supplemental statement, you say that you believe that it was around 2:30 that you first saw the sparks. I can show you that if you like. It's page 4, paragraph 10 of that statement. And you do this based on the transcripts of the calls.
Yes.
And we can look at the second or third, perhaps, of those calls in a moment. But you think that it was around 2:30 that you first saw sparks in your coming into your flat?
Yes. Yeah.
And is the correction that you made in your supplemental statement because you'd seen the transcript of
Yes,
that call?
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let's look at that call. We'll go straight to it. It's LFB 365, and it's timed, as you can see from the number on the right-hand side of the blue part, at 02:34:42. So only a minute or so, sorry, an hour or so after it's an hour or so after the last call you made. So if we look at the transcript of that, you say, "Hello, please, just the fire's in my building. It's come to my floor now." You said it's on the 4th floor. My floor is on fire. And then you go on to say, "I'm on the 18th floor." And then having got through the information about floors and flat number, at the bottom of page 2, you say, 153 now. I came to my neighbour's flat because my flat's on fire. So in this call, you're now in your neighbour's house?
Yes.
And, right, well, does that establish the earliest time, do you think, at which we can see you being in your neighbour's flat? About 2:30?
Yes, I would say so, yes.
I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but before I move back to that, can I just ask you some questions about your flat being on fire? First, how long before you moved to your neighbour's flat, flat 153, did you make this call to 999?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Yes. How long before you made this call to 999 do you think you moved to your neighbour's flat?
Within minutes, because I wanted to let them know that because I thought in my head that they were going to come back, so they need to know where I was. So I wanted to let them know that I'm now in flat 153.
Yes. Now, how long before you left your flat to go next door to your neighbours did you first see sparks from the cladding landing on your window ledge, as you said in your first statement, paragraph 22?
As soon as it happened, as soon as it caught fire, the window ledge in my kitchen, I got my kids and we just went straight.
Okay. Now, focusing on the moment when you saw the sparks coming in, you say it started to fall onto our window ledges. Were those window ledges outside the windows?
Outside window ledge, yes.
Did sparks come into your kitchen?
Yes, it turned into full-blown fire that came through the window into the kitchen.
Okay. Was the kitchen window open?
Not that I remember, but it must have. I don't know. It probably was a little bit open because I kept looking in and out.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say the first time you looked out of the building when you woke up, you looked out of the kitchen window. When the fire came through, did you watch the fire come in?
Yes, I did. Yeah. It literally was very quickly that it just caught very quickly, and it was literally less than a minute then from the sparks to falling on the window ledge from the outside to it actually being inside the kitchen. It was within a minute it happened.
Now, I know this is, in a sense, asking this question in slow motion, but I wonder whether you can remember whether you saw the fire only coming in through the open window, or whether you also might have seen the fire coming around the edges.
The whole thing, it was just melting. The whole window seemed like it was just melting.
Right.
And it just came straight through. Whether it from the window, it was through all of it.
Okay. Did you see sparks falling from the cladding in any other window or through any other window in your flat before you left?
No, it was that's just my kitchen window.
Before you, where were you standing when you saw the fire coming through your kitchen window?
We was all in the sitting room because we have open plan, the kitchen and the sitting room, so it's all open. So we was in the living room, and it was right in front of us.
Right. Were there sliding doors between the...
I didn't have it. I had open plan. There was no sliding doors.
Right. And how far did the fire come into your kitchen, do you remember, before you left the flat?
After it just took over the whole window ledge from the inside, that's when I left.
Right. And you say the whole window ledge?
Yeah, from the inside it just went.
Right.
And it happened very quickly.
Is that how much of the window was being burnt by fire?
A good 60-70% of it was taken.
Right. Was most of the fire on the bottom or the top or at the sides? Do you remember?
It was mostly from the window frame itself.
Right. Do you remember what colour the flames were?
Vibrant orange.
Vibrant orange. Did you notice any smoke?
By this point, there was smoke coming.
What colour was the smoke?
It was a dark grey, near black.
Did you smell it?
Yes.
Was the smell similar to or different from the smell you'd smelled before?
It was similar.
Did it have any physical effect on you?
Like I said, it did trigger off my asthma.
Right. And as I've read to you, at the end of paragraph 22, your last sentence says, "The flat had started to feel warm, but I hadn't thought much of it." Did you notice if the warmth was in any particular place in your flat?
More like in the kitchen side, which now makes sense because the fire was coming from that side of the building.
Yes. Before you left your flat, did any smoke alarms go off?
No.
Now, we know, because we've seen from the call, and you tell us in the next paragraph, that you saw the fire come in and you then moved to flat 153.
Yes.
And that's Mr. Paulos Tekle's flat, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think in your statement you called him Mr. Paulos.
I don't know him other than that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, can I just ask you to be shown the plan of the floor, which is MET 000012593 at page 12. I should just explain to you, Ms. Yahya, what this is. This is a cross-section plan of Grenfell Tower at the time of the fire. This is actually the fourth floor, but all the floors are the same or substantially similar all the way up the building. You were in flat 152.
Yes.
Which is on the bottom right of the diagram, so southeast corner, and 153 is the one next door to the left of that, in, I suppose, brown or grey.
Yes.
On the southwest of the west corner. Could you just point out your front door for us, using the little red dot? Let me see if I can lead you on this. I think your front door is the opening to the left of the room which says bathroom. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, if we could just put the red dot in that opening. No, flat 1, it's flat 2. I'm going to point to it. There. No, bathroom. To the left of bathroom, by the hall. Up a bit. Yeah. Yes. And so that's your front door.
Yes.
So to get to flat 153, you come out of your front door, turn left,
yes,
and then walk down the passage to the front door, which would then be on your left.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, how long did that take you?
It didn't. It was a struggle because the kids were with me and they were scared to go, and I needed them to trust me because they thought they were safe. I knew there was fire inside the kitchen, but they could see smoke and they didn't want to go out into that. So it was a struggle to have to physically pull them. to go to the next door.
What were the smoke conditions like in the lobby at that time when you opened your front door and went out and turned
It
left?
was very bad.
Very bad.
You couldn't see anything. You can see your hand in front of your face if you put it there.
How did you guide yourself?
The wall, and I'm quite familiar with the building, so I knew.
Right. Why did you decide to go to flat 153?
Because the firefighters that came to the flat before, those two came to my flat, said to me that they were going to get my neighbours and get us out together. So that stayed in my head. So I thought that if I was with my neighbour, they will see me and we'll all get out together.
Was there a reason why, instead of going to your neighbour's flat in 153, you didn't go into the stairwell?
Because I didn't know what was in the stairwell, and like I said, the firefighter told me that they were going to get us out together. So it made sense to go to my neighbour's house, where they said they're going to get them out too.
Okay. And the smoke conditions in the communal lobby during your walk to flat 153, were they the same as you'd experienced when you'd opened the door to the firefighters earlier?
Things progressively got worse.
Worse.
Yeah.
And did the smoke have a particular smell?
The smell was just stronger.
Right.
It was just, everything was just worse. The smell, the smoke.
Could you actually breathe it?
You couldn't. You would choke if you inhaled that. Yeah.
Did you have something over your...
I covered the kids before I left, their faces.
Right. And what about you?
I did have one. I covered my face too.
Okay. With a
With
what?
wet towel, yeah.
A wet towel. Did that help you breathe?
It helped.
Did you notice any particular temperature in the lobby, the communal lobby, when you went through it?
Heat. There was a lot of heat.
A lot of heat, right. Did you notice that it was hotter in the lobby than the time when you opened the door to the...
Oh, yes, yeah, definitely hotter.
Right. When you say hotter, I wonder if can you give us a comparison of how hot it was? I mean, summer's day hot or hotter than that?
It was definitely hotter than a summer's day.
Right. Okay.
It was definitely hotter than a summer's day.
Did you knock on the door of flat 153?
Yes,
or
I
was
did.
the door open?
No, it was closed. I knocked on the door.
Okay. And who opened the door? Do you remember?
It was Jeanette.
Gannett, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what the conditions were like in the flat when you went in?
Their flat was smoke-free. There was no smoke.
No smoke?
No.
Could you see any fire or sparks when you went in?
No.
Do you remember who was in the flat, flat 153, when you went into it with your children?
It was Gannett with her husband, and there was another man there and two children.
Did you know the other man?
No, I don't know him.
You didn't know that he was the lodger from...
I didn't know that
What?
until afterwards.
Okay. Do you remember where the father, Paulos Tekle, was when you went into the flat?
They were all in the living room.
Right. Do you remember whether he was sitting on the ledge of a window when you came in?
Not when I came in, but then when I was talking to his wife and told her that my flat's now on fire, he then panicked and went to the window ledge.
Did you see what he did?
Yeah, he wanted to jump.
Did you talk to him?
I didn't speak to him, no.
Now, Can I take you back to your call that we looked at a minute ago, to LFB 365, which is the call you made at 2:34:42, where you said on the second page at the bottom, I came to my neighbours because my flat's on fire.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, why did you call 999 after moving into flat 153?
So that I can inform them on where I was.
Okay. And then if you look on in the call, at the top of page 3, the operator says, right, okay, what we're advising to do is put some damp towels round yourself. And you say, yeah. Operator, okay, and then, sorry, you say. And then she says, put some damp towels around yourself, and you say, I know, but it's a matter of time. And there's some overspeaking. And then the operator says, overspeaking, no, listen, we're advising you to safely try and get out. And then at the bottom of the page, the operator says, right, you need to get some towels and damp towels, and damp sheets, and make sure it's safe. Put them around your mouth so obviously you're not breathing the smoke in, and guide yourself out. And in between time, we're going to tell them on the radio what floor you're on. And then there's some discussion about how many there are of you. And then you say, towards the bottom of page 4, in response to the operator's question, so are you able to get out of the flat? No, we can't get out of the flat. That's what we're saying. It's thick black smoke. I had to come to my neighbour's house because it's in my flat now. The fire's in my flat. I had to come to my neighbour's flat and we struggled and it's next door. At that stage in the call, did you get any impression of whether or not the operator was understanding your predicament?
No, I don't think she understood my predicament.
And then we can work our way through the call to the through after the advice where you're told you must get out and you say we can't. Page 5, the operator, you say to the operator, and this is a third of the way down, the fire brigade said he was going to come back to us and he hasn't. And the operator says, right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell them, the command unit, and how are the children, how many, how old are the children? Different ages from 11, yeah, to the youngest, which is 3. 11 to 3 years old, yeah. Okay, and there's no way you can get out? No. Right, and I'm pregnant, and, pregnant, okay, right, I'm just going to tell the command unit to go and check your floor. And then you say halfway down page 6, in response to her advice, if the situation gets worse, then give me a ring straight back, okay. You say, it's worse now. I know it's worse, but I'm going to tell them as soon as I put the phone down, etc. And she ends up by saying, I'm going to tell the command unit down there to come directly up to you. I've read you quite a lot of that, giving you the impression of the call. After that call was over, what did you think you were supposed to do?
It was confusing. Because from the last bit of that message I got was that she was going to tell them to come up for us.
And what did you think?
That they were going to come up for us.
That call was at 2:34, as we've seen. You then, I think, make another call at 2:48, and that's LFB 384. If we can please have that transcript. And I think this call is either made by you or made by a child, and then you take the call over. Do you remember that?
Yes. Briefly, yes.
Okay. And we can just tracing it through. The original caller says on page 2, a quarter of the way down, we're in Grenfell Tower, we're on the 18th floor, and we're stuck in the building. We just want somebody to help us. What, you're on the 18th floor? Pardon, did you say you're on the 18th floor? Yeah, 18th floor, 153. 153, okay, and what's going on? Is there a fire in your flat? And then at the top of page 3, the caller says the fire is in 152. We're in 153 at the moment, but could you send someone, please? Okay, so it's in the flat next door, is it? The fire's in the flat next to you? Yes. Okay, listen. So is your mum and dad there I can speak to, or are you the best person to speak to? Yeah, here's my mum. And then the operator says, okay, hello, and caller 2 says hello. Is that you, the caller 2?
Yes.
Okay. And hello, yeah, your daughter told me that the fire is in the flat next door, is that right? And you say, yeah. And then it goes on, and then over the next page, at the top of the page, page 4, the operator says, okay, well, listen, if the fire's in the flat next door, you're going to have to leave, okay? You're going to have to make your way. And you say, where? We're on the 18th floor, operator, okay. You say, inaudible, thick black smoke. And then the operator says, I know, listen, we're not going to be able to get up there to you. You need to leave the flat and get out. Now, you need to listen to me very carefully. What you need to do, you need to get some wet towels, put them around your mouth so you won't inhale the smoke. And you need to get out, okay? Make your way down. Don't use the lift. Use the stairwells, okay? But you need to put wet blankets and that around your mouth, and the kids as well, okay? And make your way downstairs if the fire's in the flat next door, if that's what's going on, okay? Do you understand? And that's where the call, or the transcript of the call, terminates. At that point, did you have a clear understanding about what you had to do?
I didn't know. I completely forgot about this until I read the transcript. I actually didn't remember them saying this to me. Right. It's only that I saw it in the transcript that I know it happened. Now, like I said, I don't know. I don't remember them saying this to me. I didn't reply to them because so I don't know whether their information has got to me or not. I don't know what happened there.
Okay. Do you remember, because we know you did leave, do you remember what motivated you to make that final decision to evacuate the flat?
It was a lot of things. Seeing the kids, seeing them watching someone trying to jump out the window and them crying and screaming, that kind of did make me want to protect them from seeing that.
Right. Right. Do you remember, maybe you don't, but do you remember passing on any advice you got from 999 to anybody else in the flat?
I didn't. Like I said, I don't even remember having this conversation with them.
Do you remember Paulos Tekle making a call to 999 and telling the operator that smoke was coming from the windows outside?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember seeing smoke coming through the Paulos' windows at any stage before you left?
There must have been, yeah.
Okay. Did that have an impact on your decision?
Yeah, that did as well, because I knew that the fire was next door, and I know it was going very quickly, and I knew it was a matter of time before it reaches, because we share a wall between us. Our bedrooms are very close together, so it would be a matter of time before the fire comes into next door. That was another reason why I left.
Yes. Now, just going back to this call, in your supplemental statement, if you please go to paragraph 18, which is on page 6, you say, having read this transcript, I'll just wait for that to be shown. It's there on the screen. Paragraph 18. Having read this transcript, you say, I vaguely remember this call, and the operator saying that no one was going to come to rescue us, but there was so much going on. Paulos was threatening to jump out of the window. I had the kids. That's probably why I couldn't answer after she gave her advice. Or maybe the line dropped before I could respond. I do think that being told no one was going to rescue us impacted my decision to try to get out. That and Paulos threatening to jump out of the window made me feel that we had to leave. So just pausing there, is that what you said in your statement there as a result of your thinking about the night after having seen the transcript, or do you remember having those thoughts on the night itself?
I don't, like I said, I didn't remember them advising us to leave.
No.
So that was just in hindsight after reading the transcript.
Right. And you say in the last sentence of this paragraph, the previous call left us with some hope that someone would come for us. This call didn't. I know you don't remember the call, and we're only reminded of it by the transcript. But do you remember a point when the hope you had to be rescued went?
I think so. In hindsight, it probably did, yes.
Okay.
Because it's more of a clearer instruction than false hope.
Having made the decision to leave, did you have any discussion with any of the others in the flat about leaving?
I don't remember exactly the discussion, but I think we said we just need to go, we need to get out. And Gannett went and got towels from the cupboard to wet them. I remember going with her to the kitchen to try to wet the towels.
Right.
To put so she can cover her kids.
And did she manage to wet the towels?
It was the same water pressure.
Same problem?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just took long.
Do you remember hearing or seeing Paulos call 999 and get advice about what they should do?
He may have done. I know there was 999 calls being made. I just don't remember what he said or what they said to him.
When you left, were you carrying the wet towels or blankets that you had wet as best you could with Gannett in her flat?
For the kids, yes.
For the kids. And what about you?
I started off with one, but it didn't. It dropped off.
Right. At the moment you decided to leave, do you remember what the conditions inside the Paulos' flat were like?
It was okay, but the smoke had been starting to seep through.
Right. Do you remember where it was beginning to seep through from?
Because we was only in their living room. We didn't go to the bedrooms or anything. We was only in the living room, so it was just from the living room windows.
Living room window?
Yes.
Do you remember which living room window particularly the smoke was coming in from?
No.
Okay. When you left the flat, do you remember who opened the front door?
I think it was the lodger, I think.
Did you have any discussion about leaving the flat with him before you left?
No, but I think they could see us preparing for with the kids, getting them ready to leave.
Right.
I didn't speak to that man at all.
So he opened the front door, and who went out of the front door first?
I can't remember whether it was him or was it Paulos. I can't remember which one left first. I think it was him, but then Paulos followed not long after.
Right.
Then it was Gannett, and then me and the kids.
So you went after Paulos and their children?
Yes, because I needed to sort of prep my kids in a sense, not to let go of me, not to
Right.
talk them through it.
Did you have any discussion, or do you remember any discussion about leaving before the lodger, Mr. Enu, opened the front door to flat 153?
We must have done. I must have done with Gannett and said, we'll just go. We'll go together.
Do you remember seeing a firefighter as you left, either in the doorway of the flat or in the lobby immediately outside?
There was no firefighter there at all.
You say that with confidence.
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
I'm 100% sure there was no firefighter there at all.
It was dark and smoky, so how do you know?
Because he would have been instructing us.
Right.
And we was left to our own devices, so if he was there, he would have told us what to do, said something.
Did you hear any voices other than the voices
No.
of Paulos or
No.
the lodger? Did you see any torches?
No.
I know it's difficult to get timings right, but how long after Paulos and the lodger left the flat did you leave?
Not long, like within minutes.
Minutes?
Yeah, within minutes. Because he left and then Jeanette followed her husband. And then I was ready to leave straight after so we left more or less together. I remember seeing her just before we went. I remember her talking or seeing her just before we went down the stairwell. Then after that, I didn't hear or see any of them.
Who went first into the stairwell? Did she go first or did you go first?
I think she went first.
Did she push the stairwell door herself, or did you push it for yourself, or did you hold it open for her?
I don't remember.
Okay. How did you find your way with your 3 children to the stairwell?
It was very difficult. I think one of them slipped as well at the time, trying to find our way through the smoke. But like I said, I was quite familiar with the building, so I knew roughly where it would be. We sort of had to feel our way as well.
Mm. Do you remember before leaving the flat whether there was any discussion about who should take which child of the Paulos' children?
I vaguely remember that lodger offering to help Gannett and saying, let me help you take one of your son.
Right. Now, just going back a moment to some evidence you gave a minute ago, you say that the lodger left, Paulos Tekle left, Gannett left, and then you left, you say, within minutes. Just going back to that, I know it's difficult, because timings are very difficult, but when you say within minutes, do you mean within minutes or do you mean within seconds?
Within seconds, then, yeah.
I don't want to suggest something.
No, it makes more sense within seconds. Because I didn't stay after them more than 10, 15 seconds after that, okay. Yeah.
As it says, no, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you came out into the lobby, were the smoke conditions in the lobby the same as you'd experienced when you left your flat and went to flat 153?
Yes. Yeah, it's the same.
What about the temperature?
I think I remember it being overwhelmingly hot. The heat was there.
Hotter than when you came from your flat to the...
Yeah, definitely hotter.
To the neighbours? Definitely hotter. When you got to the stairwell, were the conditions in the stairs, when you first saw them, following Gannett, were they worse than in the lobby that you'd just come through?
I would say it's probably the same, but the smell was probably more stronger in the stairwell.
Right. in paragraph 25 of your first statement, on page 7, that's IWS 498, you say conditions in the stairwell were even worse than in the lobby. There was intense heat that seemed to increase as we descended. So you say the smell was, you just said to us the smell was more intense.
Yeah.
In terms of smoke thickness, were those conditions in the stairwell worse than the lobby?
I think so, yes.
Okay. And you say there was intense heat that seemed to increase as we descended. When you opened the stairwell door into the stairwell from the lobby, could you describe whether the temperature stayed the same or whether it was immediately hotter?
There was definitely a temperature difference because when you open the stairwell door, it was hot in the lobby, but from the stairwell, it hit you more.
Right. So just summarising where we've got to, it was hot when you left your flat and went to your neighbours. When you came out of your neighbours, it was definitely hotter.
Yes.
And then you open the stair door and it's hotter still.
Yes, it got worse because, like I said, the temperature difference was worse because as you open the door, it hit you more, so you could feel it.
And then you say the heat seemed to increase as we descended. Do you remember, first of all, at what point it started to decrease? I know it's very difficult. You're in the dark and coming down with 3 children, but do you remember, even vaguely,
when it
how
decreased?
Long after it increased?
Oh, it increased.
As you came down, at what point the temperature started to climb?
I don't know.
How long during your descent, or how long into your descent, do you think that it was at its hottest?
I think it was a few floors lower.
Did that heat have any effect on you physically?
It did, because that's when you could feel it in your eyes.
Really? Okay.
Would start streaming.
Now, at that point, when the temperature was at its hottest during your descent down the stairs, how would you compare it with anything you've experienced before?
I can't, because I've never experienced that sort of intense heat before.
Okay. So hotter than a summer's day?
Very much hotter.
Did the heat subside? Did it go down after a particular point?
As probably we got to the lower floors, maybe about 3rd floor.
During your descent, could you see any light in the stairwell at any point?
No, the only light I saw is from the fireman's helmet, a torch, firefighter's torch.
At what? Whereabouts on your descent did you see a fireman's torch?
That was about the 7th floor.
About the 7th floor. That's quite a particular, definite number. How do you know, or why are you saying 7th floor?
Because my daughter, the whole time we was going down, she was very vocal. She kept shouting, "What floor are we on? What floor are we on?" And
right.
That's when my son then collapsed on the 7th floor.
Okay.
The smoke got to him where he just was unconscious, and the firefighter was coming out of the 7th floor, and he said, "You're on the 7th floor. Keep going." He picked him up, and he said, "Keep going. You're on the 7th floor. Keep going."
Yes, and indeed you say in paragraph 27 of your statement that when you got to the 7th floor, your son collapsed. Can I just go back to what you said a minute ago about your daughter being very vocal and counting out the numbers? How did she work out which floor you were on so she could shout out the numbers?
It wasn't her who shouted the numbers. She just kept saying, "What floor are we on?"
Oh, I see.
It was the firefighter who answered her and said, "You're on the 7th floor. Keep going."
Right. I'm sorry, I may have misunderstood, because you said, I think, a little earlier that the whole time you were going down, she was shouting, "What floor are we on?"
And nobody answered her because we didn't know.
Oh, I see. Okay. And when you get to the 7th floor, a firefighter says 7th.
Yeah.
Where was did you encounter that firefighter on the 7th floor, or was...
He was coming out of the 7th floor.
Okay,
He was coming into the stairwell.
right. And just going back to the heat question, was it when you were at the 7th floor, was that, what was the temperature like there?
It's still the same as the heat, quite intense heat.
Right. So does that mean still at its hottest, or slightly less hot, or more hot?
It wasn't probably as hot as the higher floors. Yeah, it's probably decreased by now, yeah.
Okay. When the firefighter came out from the 7th floor, did you get a chance to look into the lobby?
No.
What were the smoke conditions like on the 7th floor at the point when your son collapsed?
It was still quite thick, dark smoke.
Right. How many firefighters do you remember seeing on the 7th floor?
I think I remember seeing 3, but that's a guess.
And what were they doing? Do you remember?
They were in the 7th floor, but I don't remember them coming down. No, I don't remember them coming down before us. I think they opened the 7th floor. They saw my son unconscious on the floor. One of them picked them up and carried him, and then we and the others 2 just kept shouting at us to keep going, keep going, keep going.
Did you tell those firefighters that there were still people up on higher floors?
No. Their radio was going off and they were being instructed to leave.
Do you remember during your descent down the whole staircase whether you saw any other doors into the stairwell from lobbies open?
No.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, we've been going more or less an hour, and I've just noticed I've got very few questions left. And I think maybe the appropriate thing would be for me to ask them if that's all right with you, and then take a short break.
When you say very few questions, what are we talking about? In terms of time?
7 questions. In terms of time, in 5 minutes, I just thought.
We're getting on very well, as you can tell. Mr. Millett has a few more questions. Do you feel that you need a break?
I can carry on.
You can carry on. Right. Well, then I think it's probably better that we do, if that's all right. But if you get to the stage when you feel you've had enough and you need a break, will you let me know?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
You can keep going, Mr. Millett.
I will do, Mr. Chairman. It may be more convenient that if rather than the sort of break we had earlier on, people can perhaps stay in situ, and any further questions can just be fed to me. I can consider
Yes.
them.
Well, you could
Exactly.
go to there.
I could make a rare trip. Ms. Yahya, I want just to turn then finally to the outside of your experience outside the tower. When you got outside, were you treated by paramedics?
Not straight away.
How long after?
Because when we got outside, because my son got out first, and as soon as I got outside, I was looking for my son. So I saw him laying on the floor, so I ran over to him. He was being treated. Then they put him in the ambulance. I wanted to go with him. They didn't let me. They said I need to be seen first. So then I just waited around for a bit. Then someone came. Then a paramedic came, which was probably about, I think all in all afterwards it was about 15 minutes after I left before paramedic came.
Right.
And I asked them for an inhaler because I didn't have one.
Right. Did you get one?
I got an empty one.
Right.
And I had to literally find another paramedic to give me a full one.
In your statement, paragraph 30, on page 8, you explain that you were still standing as your symptoms hadn't kicked in yet, and you say, I wasn't considered a priority for the ambulances. My 2 daughters and I were the last residents to leave the area in an ambulance. We were taken to the Royal Free Hospital in Hampstead. Do you remember how long you had to wait before going in an ambulance?
From after having left, I would say a good hour and a half to 2 hours. It was early hours morning. There was already daylight.
Right. Were you told why there was a delay in taking you?
I just was told I have to wait my turn.
No, did anybody explain?
I think one of them said, you're in a queue, they are taking everyone. You just have to wait for your turn.
I think you said earlier in your evidence that your son suffers from asthma.
Yes.
Can you tell us, you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to, but can you tell us a little bit about the effects of the smoke and the experience on your son's asthma on the night?
It made him very wheezy. He was struggling to breathe. That's why he's the only one who collapsed. He was struggling before we left.
Right. Before you left the flat?
Yes.
Before you left flat 153?
Yes.
What about before he arrived and you arrived with him in flat 153?
He was wheezing the whole time. He was coughing and wheezing. Well,
thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, perhaps this is an appropriate moment for a short break. And I would
yes. Well, I think you'll need a short break.
I've got no further questions. I should just say, Ms. Yahya, thank you for everything so far. I've got no further questions for you, but there may be that other people have. So I'm going to ask the chairman to rise.
Well, I wonder whether would it be convenient to do what we did with an earlier witness, and
yes, we can do that.
Ms. Yahya and I can sit here.
We can do that, and I can then.
And you can go down there and speak to anyone who wants to speak to you.
Right, very good. All right.
Would that be sensible?
Very sensible. Yeah. I'll do that.
We're going to have a short break while Mr. Millett checks he hasn't got any more questions.
Okay, that's fine.
And you and I can sit here and pretend that they don't need to concern us out there, all right? So, have you completed any discussions?
It's a small harvest.
Right. Well, that's no. I think there are going to be a few more questions.
Okay.
But with any luck, not too many.
Okay.
Ms. Yahya, the first question, it may be the only question, is when you made your decision finally to leave flat 153, what role did your own asthma have on that decision, in that decision?
To be honest, I didn't think about my asthma. It was the last thing I was thinking about.
Right. Okay. What about your son?
I was more concerned about the kids and my son. Seeing him struggle, in hindsight, it did probably make my decision to leave more.
Yes. In your statement at paragraph 11, you say that your I'm so sorry. Paragraph 31. You say that your one of your daughters was kept at Royal Free, and another was admitted to the intensive care unit at King's College Hospital. Were you told that they were being taken to those hospitals at the time they were taken?
My two daughters came with me first to Royal Free Hospital, so we went in the ambulance together. My son, I didn't know where he was, or if I didn't even know if he was okay.
Right.
It was only I actually didn't even know until after I woke up from the coma.
So before you were put into the induced coma, you weren't told where your son had been taken?
No.
Did you ask anybody?
From the time that I got to the hospital to the time that I collapsed was a very short time. So after that,
Yes. Well, thank you very much. Ms. Yahya, I have no further questions except one. Except one. And it's this. In addition to the two witness statements that you've given to us, and in addition to what you've told us this afternoon about your experiences on the night, is there anything that you, in addition, that you saw, or you heard, or you smelt, or you felt on the night of the fire that you think that it's important that the chairman should know?
no.
Well, Ms. Yahya, thank you very much. I just want to express my gratitude to you for your patience in answering my questions and for assisting us greatly with your evidence today. We very much appreciate your coming here and doing that, and say thank you very much.
I'd like to add my thanks to those of Mr. Millett. It's, as I've said to others, it's vital to us that we find out what was going on inside the building at different times. So your evidence in telling us what you experienced is really important. And I'm very grateful to you for coming to tell us about it, even though I suspect to describe such an horrendous experience must have been quite difficult for you. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for coming. Now, I'm going to rise. You stay, I suggest you can stay there until the room has been cleared. And I'm going to ask everyone to clear the room, please, as quickly as possible after I've left. Oh.
You know, that's Mr. Allen, I'm not going to disagree with any of that. Before I do, I should just say for those who are in the room that we were expecting, as I said last night, to read some further witness statements into the record and read out parts of them. They are extremely valuable and an important part of this part of phase one.
Of course, yes.
I'm afraid it'll be now obvious to everybody in the room that we are a little bit behind in our reading, because we are obviously prioritising the witnesses who come in terms of time management. We hope to be able to catch up during this week, and I will update you, Mr. Chairman, and those in the hearing room as soon as I can.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Millett. Well, thank you again for coming. And can I ask, once I've left the room, could I ask the rest of you to leave as quickly as possible? Thank you very much.